We started and y'all couldn't hear me. So let's just get a sound check. Give me a loud and clear. Give me a, hey, what's up? I'll give you one of these. And then we'll get to the damn thing. Sounds good? Awesome. Sounds great? Awesome. So let's do this. Yo, welcome. I titled this one ZFG. After going back and listening to last week, got a lot of comments about how it was a zero fucks given kind of episode. Apparently I went off the deep end and offended some people when it comes to the Tesla world. Sorry, Tesla people. But I got beers. It was a wonderful Thanksgiving. Tonight we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll definitely dive into the portfolio. It's bigger than it was the last time we spoke. 42,747 in the options portfolio. So we'll get into that tonight. We got one voicemail so far. We do have time, so if you want to jump into the video description and leave a voicemail. Like I said, tonight is my wedding anniversary. My wife knows how important this is to my life and the value that it brings me and the joy that it brings me. So she's doing some things that give her some value. I'm doing this, and then maybe we'll reconvene after. But cheers to you guys. This is the great Budweiser beer. We know of no brand produced by any other brewer which costs so much to brew and age. Its exclusive beechwood aging process taste has a smoothness and a drinkability you will find in no other beer at any other price. Do you guys know that's what it says on the Budweiser can? I've been drinking today, so. Oh, thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. 7 years today. Apparently, this is the year that I'm supposed to want a divorce. I never heard this before in my entire life. Started telling the family at Thanksgiving. It was my 7-year anniversary, and apparently they're saying there's a 7-year itch, and this is the year. I said, is that why all the TikTokers look hotter this week? I don't know. But before I drag on too long, since we only have one and we might get another one, let's dive into the voicemail. Let's knock that out of the park. Where the heck is my... Let's get the voicemail. We'll do the voicemail quick. It's a good one. And they're in the house, so... Married 8 in March. Yeah, I mean, so good. So seven's great. I said I could see like 3 years being an itch. I feel like earlier in the marriage it's harder. Once you get to 7 years, it's cake. All right, let's get this voicemail. Check this one out. Oh, hold on. I gotta switch. I gotta switch my sounds. We have to go to the live stream. Sorry about that. All right, let's try that again.
The last 3 weeks and just binging your stuff.
Thank you. Yep, that is you. There you. Oh, now you heard yourself. Hold on, let me go back here. All right, here is this voicemail.
Hey, Brad. I've been watching you now for the last 3 weeks and just binging your stuff. So
thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I got a question. I talked to somebody at Robinhood, and they said the smart money typically, in reference to selling puts, the expiration will always be 45 days out and then sell within the last week or two. What's your recommendation on, as far as less risk? Would you trade in regards to selling puts? Would you do weeklies, bi-weeklies, monthlies, or yearlies? I'm just curious as far as the less risk. I know there's always risk in options, but the least risk that you can take and why. Also, if you can do maybe an example of selling puts and what to look for in the Greeks as far as selling puts, what are the key Greeks to pay attention to? Thank you. Keep up the great work.
All right, so let's touch upon a couple things here. Number one, awesome, you get to speak to Robinhood. That's something you would not hear. I'm surprised they even gave you that advice, so good on them for that. I will have to say that I agree. I'm trying to like hook up my whiteboard. I should have done it sooner, but I can explain it without the whiteboard. And then I can definitely show you an example. We'll dive into my portfolio here, and I'll show you because I'm going to be writing some puts this week, so I'll tell you exactly the things I'm going to be thinking about. So the reason that we use this 45-day marker is, and here's kind of what I was going to draw, so I'll kind of visually tell you what I'm talking about. In terms of theta, so we know that the options value, and this is like a little bit boring to people, but it's important. So the value of an option is built of two things: intrinsic value, which is solely dictated by the difference between the share price and the strike price. So the greater that difference, the greater the value of that option, and it has to be that. Okay, so you can't have an intrinsic value that's smaller than the difference between the share price and the strike price. So that's kind of the one that's out of our control, or the one so much that we can't really play because we have no idea what's going to happen to the strike price. We have no idea if it's going to go up, going to go down. Like we could kind of like trend it out and see if it's going to work, but we don't really know. I have a frog in my throat. It always happens. The other one is the one that we can kind of gamify a little bit, and that's the other side, extrinsic value, which is theta, one of the Greeks, which is really the thing that affects the buyer. As a seller of an option, we love theta. As a buyer of an option, we hate theta because theta is the pay to play. It's the cost that the buyer loses in the value though as we approach expiration. The other one is volatility, but volatility is not really going to come into play here. So why this 45-day mark? Why as sellers do we like 45 days, and as buyers we're trying to go leaps? We're trying to go way out in expiration. If we look at like the trend of how much theta is eating away at the value of that option, it stays pretty flat over time until about 45 days out. So if I buy a leaps option, I buy a call that's way out there, I know that for the majority of that time, theta is really not going to affect me. It's going to be so small that theta is going to just drop off by the littlest amount. But then when I get to the 45-day mark, it starts to do this and exponentially change. So as the seller, if we were to write puts further than 45 days out, we don't have the true advantage of theta just yet. Okay. Now, when we do weeklies, there's essentially 3 weeks or so that theta's already been accelerating the loss of the value of that option. Okay. Really, it depends on your personal preference. There's a number of reasons why you might want to do weeklies and you might want to do monthlies. I'll give you one right off the top of my head, and I've discussed this before a little bit. But in the summer, or I'm going on vacation or something like that, like when we're trading options, we really need to be there to monitor those options at least once a day. Really, if we really want to be successful. Okay? So if I'm going to be on vacation, I can't check it this week. I might do a monthly. Okay? Because that gives me a little bit of leeway. I don't really need to check it. Maybe I could check it every 3 days. That's not that big of a deal. The other thing is sometimes options only have monthlies, so you can't do the weekly. The third option, which is kind of where I'm at with puts, is puts for me is all about an annual return on investment. And whatever formula you want to use, I just did a video about that a little bit, about how I find the annual return on investment, but even the short-term return on investment. So if you take the collateral needed for a cash secure put, right, the strike price times 100, and you see how much premium you get, you could find that return immediately. So if I really am looking for a set return in my cash secure puts, the expiration doesn't really matter, right? I can go 6 months out. If 6 months out is going to get me a 12% return, and that's a 24% return on my investment, I don't really give a shit about theta, to be honest with you, right? So that might be an indication or a time where I might go 6 months out because I'm just trying to get a guaranteed fix, or maybe it's just above the fair value of the stock that I really want. And I'm saying if it gets down to that value anytime in the next 6 months, this is just the strategy that's been the best for me recently. Okay. These are going to be stocks that I want a return on investment, but don't necessarily need to own. An example of this in my portfolio is CCL, Carnival Cruise Line. I'm not like itching to get into Carnival, but I really feel like I can get them at a good price. So that's an example that I put out way in advance. My expiration, I'll bring it up real quick so we can see. My expiration on that is, let me just zoom in a little bit here. So if we look at my expiration for Carnival Cruise Line, that's 3/18. So if I open this up real quick, I got $119, and that was, I think, about 6 months out for $2,000. I don't know, where's my calculator? So essentially, I said to myself, okay, I could put $2,000 out, and I can get 119 back. So 119 divided by 2,000, that's the collateral, times 100. That gives me a 5.95 return on that investment. So 6%, a 12% return automatically if the price drops down to $20. And it's currently $18.20. It's currently $18.20. So right now, I'm on the hook to get CCL at $20. If it keeps dropping, okay, $20 was what I chose. But regardless of getting assigned those shares in 6 months, I made 12% annual return on my money for this stock. And if I do get assigned, I'm getting assigned at a price that's favorable to me that I really want to get it at. That's not every single stock. Another one like that for me is Smith & Wesson. I put that out a long way in expiration as well. So this one I had to put up $17.50 and I got $85. So to me, the math was 85. I put up $17.50 times 100. That's 4.85. And this was a little less than 6 months, but I'll still multiply it by 2. That's a 10% return on Smith & Wesson if it gets down to $17.50. Now, if you're like, that's not a great return, bro. I'm trying to YOLO AMC. Okay, good for you. But I look and I'm like, okay, they went up 50% this year. That's good. If I can throw another 12% on top of that, I'm really good. So those are two examples of where I'm just strictly looking at a return on investment as far as my math is concerned. Looking at my portfolio still, and this is a lot, and I don't want to like zoom in too far where I can't see it too much. But I got assigned on 2 covered calls this week, which I'm doing the wheel, which will now become puts. Those should be right at the top of my wish list. So let me just drive down here. I was assigned on Camping World, and I was assigned on HPQ this week. Okay, so now here's how that's going to work. Let me just zoom out so I can get to my messages and show you, because Robinhood's going to let you know. So with HPQ, I was assigned and I was credited. So when you're assigned on a call, here's it right here. It's going to go to this screen. Sorry about that. So HPQ assigned. I got assigned at $31.99.97, essentially $3,200. Okay. So I'm going to tell you right now, the next time that is red, so these had a green day on Friday, I only write puts on a red day because the value is up. As soon as that value is up, I'm coming in here. That was HPQ, that was HPQ. I'm coming into HPQ, right? I'm going to trade options. I'm probably going to go to the next expiration. I'm going to go down to my assignment price. Right now, that's currently $13. But this is a green day, and it's off market, so these are not accurate. But as soon as they're a red day, it's going to come back. And if I get assigned, I wash out that covered call. My basis on the call stays the same because of the wash rule. I'm good to go. I go back to my basis, which I think was like 3,100 and change. I'd have to check my spreadsheet. Okay, so that's a particular case where I'm just going to go 7 days because I want those shares back. And I'll get them back at the exact same price. Like the 7 to the 45 day rule. Let me just go back to my main camera here. The 7 to the 45 day rule, that would be like if I was trying to figure out what value I wanted. I'd go 45 days to 6 months if I knew the price I wanted. But when I'm assigned on a call, the price that I want has already been told to me because I want to write at the exact same strike I got assigned at. So let's make that happen in 7 days, right? There's also going to be circumstances, and this is where your gut feeling, this is where education comes in. If this was it's right now like $2 below my strike, okay? If it took a dump, like what's going on with my Peloton put, if it just dove down and I can't write at that at that strike price because I'm going to get no premiums whatsoever, that's when I might push out expiration or try and roll at a loss on that put. But it really it feels it out. You feel it out. Okay. They were right in telling you 45 days. You don't really want to go more than that unless you're just seeking a general return. And a weekly just means that most of that drop off from theta, that's really, really taken its hold. The second part of your question was about the Greeks that I look at. For example, the CCL. I'll tell you this, and I'm not, if I can scroll down, let me show you this again. I'm not too concerned with the Greeks when I'm doing the wheel, okay? When I do leaps, it's much more important to me. That is definitely the truth, okay? But here, we can see that I'm at a 0.55 with this call, and this is once again, this is the CCL. And it's pretty much right at the money, and that makes sense. A delta of 0.5 means it could go either way, okay? But if you're starting the wheel or you're new to puts and you're new to writing calls, here's where you can use delta to your advantage, or at least use delta to help you out. Delta, regardless of its technical definition, okay, we use it more for a general rule of thumb. And it's the approximate likelihood or percentage that the buyer is going to succeed with this contract. That this will finish in the money before expiration. So right now, the buyer of this option has a 55% chance of success. So where does that leave me? I'm the underdog at 45 right now, okay? If you're just starting the wheel or just starting writing covered calls or puts, and you don't really want to mess with assignment, and you're like not at the point where you're like, I'm not ready to be assigned, you might look for a small delta because that's going to be a low percentage for the buyer, high percentage for you. Okay? So for example, a delta of say 0.2, that means that the buyer has a 20% chance of success. That means you, the seller, have an 80% chance. So if you're looking to stay a little bit conservative while you're learning that, this might be a great opportunity for you to use delta as just a general rule of thumb. Okay, it's not the actual definition, right? It's not actually 80%. It's right there. Okay? That would be the only time I would use it. But for me with the wheel, I'm dictated by the strike generally and the return on my investment, whether it's the return over 6 months, a year, whatever. The only time I'm ever going to look at the Greeks is when I'm looking at delta. Like, for example, outside the wheel on the poor man's covered call, because I need to protect my buy option, my leaps, I'm only going to write calls against those leaps with a very, very small delta because I do not want them assigned at all. But for the wheel, I go right at the money. As long as my strike is above my cost basis, the average price for shares I paid, I don't care about assignment. And the same on the put side. I'm going to make this for $32 because that's what I was assigned at. I do not care what the delta was. I do not care about any other Greeks. I know as the seller, there's not that many Greeks I need to worry about because the other one that's really relevant and every day for us beginners and us people that aren't dabbling too deep, all I need to know is as the buyer, data hurts me, and as a seller, data helps me. All right, buddy. Hope that answers your question. If you have any follow-ups, please let me know. Let me get to the chat now. I know you guys are shooting out some chats at me. What whiteboard do I have to teacher tracks? So to be honest, let me see. I use iPivo, which is the app that I use, which is my digital whiteboard. I also use Smartboard for my class, so the Smart Notebook. But generally, in my videos and stuff, if you see me using the whiteboard, I'm annotating using a program called IPevo. It's a free one. It's an app on Mac. I do not know a PC equivalent. As far as what I'm writing on, I write on the Wacom. This is the Intuos, Intuos. On my main channel, I have like in my Amazon store, I linked all of the things that I use. This is the one that's like not a full sheet of paper. In school, these come in different sizes. In school, I use the one that's a little bit smaller. To be honest, I thought I was going to see a major difference between, I think this is like maybe like 7x9 as opposed to like 5x7. I thought I'd see a major difference. I really don't. If I was going to purchase another one again, I think this is the medium maybe. What does it say on here? It doesn't say a size. I can forget what size it is, but it's a little bit smaller than, like this is a loose leaf. It's like a little bit smaller than a loose leaf sheet of paper, which I think is 8.5 by 11. But if you have any questions, you can always just reach out to me if I need to if you need that information. But I think they're 100 and, I don't know. I sound like such an asshole if I'm like, I don't care what they cost, but I knew I was using it for tutoring, and I knew that like one session of tutoring would pay for it. Now I literally have like 4 of them because my wife has one. We're tutoring at the same time. And then COVID, I had one for school. I got a bunch of them. And you can use them to draw up NFTs. I promised my wife tonight I wasn't going to get triggered about anything. So we're not allowed to talk about Tesla. We're not allowed to talk about anything that's going to trigger me, even though I titled this one $0 given. But Kenny, thanks on the anniversary. We were married on Black Friday 7 years ago, 2014. And it's really like we're like math people and science people. So we chose that date because 28 is a perfect number, right? The sum of all of its multiples equal itself. And then 6 is another example of a perfect number. And then I knew that with my terrible memory, that I knew that I would be able to remember the year I got married because it was just the day I got married, the perfect number divided by 2. It was simple. So I was, 2814 is very, very easy for me to remember. Mark, what's up, buddy? I'm good. I've been drinking. It's one of those Sundays. I had a good run. We had a memorial like happy hour for my dad on Wednesday. God damn, we went for it. I was irresponsible. First time I kept my kids out late. We've always been like really strict on like what time we have my kids out till, and we're having fun with the family this week. So I was like, damn, geek alert on the wedding date. Yeah, exactly. We planned it out that way. And I'll tell you, I love bringing my dad up when I can because sometimes you don't realize the amazing advice you get until you can't get that amazing advice anymore. But I remember we wanted to get married in the fall. I am a sweater. Like, I always run hot. And these assholes that get married in the summer and I got to wear a suit in the summer, just no one's comfortable. The girls get their hair done and they're all sweaty, their makeup. So I said, like the wedding is indoors. So let's get married when it's like at least cool or cold out. If we're going to be wearing suits and shit. And we'll take pictures, whatever. We'll look warm if it's cold out. And I called my dad and I was like, well, first we were going to get married on Columbus Day weekend or Indigenous Peoples Day. That's another thing that will trigger me. So we're not going to talk about that. But then my cousin like runs in and grabs that date. I was like, okay. So we looked at Black Friday because I have Wednesday off, Thanksgiving. I'm like, okay. And I said to my dad, like, people are going to be pissed. They're not going to fly into New York on Thanksgiving weekend to come to a wedding. And my dad was like, fuck them. I was like, huh? My dad was like, your wedding is your day. If nobody shows up, are you not going to have any fun? Like, the beer's going to be there. The booze is going to be there. DJ's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Your wife's going to be there. Everyone else is just sprinkles. Like, Throw the party when it's best for you. That's what we did. Some people didn't come. They found out later that was a very, very poor decision. If you get the opportunity to go to a wedding with a guy that owns a brewery, you should go if you're a drinker. I had very strict rules in my wedding. The DJ was not allowed to play a song before the year 2000. He said to me, that's going to cut out Michael Jackson and Madonna. I said, yes, that's exactly why I'm making this rule. And if you play a song before 2000, I'm not going to pay you at the end of the night. He's like, what about your grandparents and your aunts and your uncles? I said, my grandmother has been to 75 fucking weddings. I'm going to have one. I don't really care if she doesn't like the music. If my grandmother comes up to me at the end of my wedding and says, I wish I wouldn't have came here. The music you played was a little bit too hip and modern. It is the worst, and I will criticize you if you invite me to your wedding, and I got to sit there and listen to Shout and Sweet Caroline and the Electric Slide and all that other dumb cliche music that they play at block parties and Sweet 16s. So there was no music allowed to be played. I told the DJ as well, I'm going to take $10 off your tip for every single person that sits during dinner. So many people at my wedding were like, I think I missed dinner. Did you guys cut a cake? After the father and daughter danced, I said to the DJ, I do not want anybody to sit down. And we raged like an EDM Tomorrowland for 4 hours, and then it ended, and everyone was like, I'm hungry. I also had coolers of Budweiser all over my wedding so that you didn't have to wait in line for that girl that was like, can I have 6 Shirley Temples and a rum and Coke and a vodka? It's like, if you just want a beer, just go to the cooler and grab a Budweiser. That was some of the things that were there. Aaron has a veto in the house. What's up, buddy? What's up? You should make a video about the wash rule and how to go about it. It was interesting that you said you write it again, the price of assignment to avoid the wash rule. Honest life, to be honest, it's not really videoable. It's as simple as this. You can't sell and then rebuy to profit your basis, to profit on or benefit from your cost basis. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? If you can't take a loss to lower your basis and then buy back, I think with 30 days. But I have taken a dip and then sold things to lower my basis, and then bought right back into a similar, like VTI and VOO, very similar, right? S&P 500 total stock market. If the stock market took a 20% dip and my VTI shares dropped 20%, I'm selling them all and I'm buying all VOO, and I'm going to wait till that happens. That's called tax loss harvesting. But if your basis is $80, here's the wash rule. I'll tell you right now. If your basis, the cost that you've paid for those shares is $80, right? And it drops to $60, okay? Now you have an unrealized capital loss. You cannot sell your shares at $60 and then buy them back at $60 to lower your total basis on that within like 30 days. So if you sell and your basis is lower than it currently was, you can't buy back in. They just call it the wash rule. Your basis will stay the same. If it's 80, it drops to 60, and you sell and you buy back in, those ones that you buy back in are going to go up to 80. Simple as that. Maybe I should do a video on that. I did do a video on tax. Actually, no, I did do a video about this. If you search Brad Finn tax loss harvesting, I brought it up in the tax loss harvesting video for sure. I definitely did. But it also applies to options as well. So if you take a capital loss, you can't buy back. And this is going to happen when you roll options or like let's say, for example, you have a leaps and then at the end of the leaps, the stock has gone down and you take a loss. You can't take a loss and then buy another leaps or sell a leaps at a profit. They're just smart. You can't sell to lower your basis. That's the wash rule. Best gift that you can give each other. Kenny, no questions asked. It's all going into VTI. My Roth IRA will always be, if you on my Instagram, I posted this the other day. My Roth IRA will always be VTI. Unless the market drops 20%, it'll be VOO because I'm going to tax. Well, I don't even need to tax loss harvest in my Roth. So it'll always be VTI. Always going to be VTI. Forever. Forever. I cannot see a circumstance in which my foundation, what my house is built on, is not going to be the total stock market index fund. If I say out loud that I can't have the foundation of my entire investment life based on the total stock market and its performance, I feel like I'm an idiot. Like, how do you say I'm going to build my entire investment foundation, my retirement foundation, on a couple of stocks as opposed to the entire U.S. market? To me, I just think it's reckless. There's other places to be reckless. In my opinion, I do not think that the Roth IRA should be one of those. Not to mention, it's the greatest set it and forget it. The dividend is okay. I think right now on a $40,000, I think $36,000 Roth IRA, I think I get $100 a quarter, $400 a year. Okie dokie. But I don't have to worry. It self-cleanses. Stocks that suck get kicked out, come back in. So that's, if you ever need to predict something about Brad, if we're ever on a show, Kenny, and they say to you, okay, Brad's got something going into his Roth IRA, what do you think it's going to be? You write VTI on that sheet as fast as possible, and you hold it up, and we're going to win the money. Oh, sorry to hear about your dad, 59. Yeah, my dad, 65 for my dad. I was talking to John Scholler about this the other day, and he was talking about the fruits of our labor and how at 60 we're going to be pumped. We're going to be good at 60. I said, well, the house that I currently sit in, the life expectancy is 45.33 years between my brother, my dad, and my mom. So I got a little over 5 years before I hit the house average. 60, I'm going to skew that. And John, in his true, positive frame of thinking, is like, well, you changed all the norms with your net worth. Why can't you change the norms with your life expectancy? I said, you, John. Good man. Good man. Good man. Honestly, what CSP are you looking to write this week? What are you eyeing? I'm looking at Palantir. Everyone loves the Palantir. On a red day, strike of 20. What do you think about that? Okay, so let's look at Robinhood quick. I'm going to be honest. Hop in Wednesday and ask JJ. I don't know anything about Palantir. I'm one of those old stubborn people where if too many people are talking about it, I don't want to be in that room. So I only know a little bit of Palantir, to be honest. So I'm not talking bad about it. I just know nothing. Literally, all I could know about Palantir is A, JJ Buckner loves it. B, I'm pretty sure they're in tech. And C, whatever I can read on Robinhood. So I'm not knocking it. I don't want to sound like I just know nothing about it. And I'd rather be honest and say I can't give any opinions on it. I literally know nothing about it. I know nothing about it. But to answer your question directly, what am I going to be looking at? So the only I have right now, I'm wheeling 10 stocks. There's going to be a video on that this week. And my puts this week are going to be on Camping World, CWH. And I got assigned at, I think, $45. 43. Yep, I got assigned at 43. So I'll be writing a put with a strike of $43 on that, which current share price is $45.50. So I can't look at the premiums. Obviously, you know that they're going to be all wacky. So I'll be writing a put right there, and I will be writing HPQ at 32. Those will both happen on red days. All right, those are both going to happen on red days. If there's no red days this week, it's not going to happen this week. I'm very, very patient when it comes to that. My current expirations for this week, things I'm going to be looking to close and get rid of or move. If I am profitable, let me just show it. Late night, alone. So here's where I'm at right now. So my expirations, I got a Cisco expiration, which is currently 44% in my favor. If that gets to 75, guys, I have a limit order to shut that down right at 75. I have a Foot Locker put open right now, expiring this week. So that's got $48 put. And then I have a WBA that's expiring this week, and that's a call that's also profitable for me. So these are the things I'm going to be looking at this week. Cisco, Foot Locker, and Walgreens. That's what I'm going to be pretty much watching and trying to manage. Everything else is kind of off my radar. And then I also have a couple Leafs options that I have naked right now. By naked, that's my way of saying I don't have a call against them. So if we have a good red day for Tattoo Chef, Starbucks, or Vuzi, I'll probably be looking to write calls in the poor man's covered call in that situation as well. Peloton is always something I'm looking at right now because, hold on, let me come back up to Peloton. Right now I'm up 23%, but I've been rolling this, as you guys know, from like $57, I think was my initial put. Right now I'm up, we'd have to look in the Discord, but right now I believe I'm up about $183 on this play. So if the value of this option, I have a limit for $183 because I'm willing to break even on this right now. I'm kind of over this. I tried to win with it and it just kept diving because I don't know what the hell's going on with the Piton, but that's something like outside of this week's expiration that I'd be looking at. And then this put for Aflac and then VTI, they both have limit orders to close at 75% profit, the same as all my other ones. And the stocks that I currently hold and have calls out, Cisco, VTI, Intel. And actually, I think I need to make an Intel. So that's another thing that's on there. So I closed Intel and then they've been red for a couple of days. So I only write puts on red days. I only write calls on green days. So I do not have a call open on Intel. As soon as Intel has a good day, whenever that happens, I think this week we didn't get to see one of those. It was pretty much down all week. So we didn't get to see a green day. That's why I don't have a call out on Intel. So if Intel comes around, we'll be doing good. I'll also be looking at ex-dividend dates, making sure that with my calls at any ex-dividend dates, that I'm keeping an eye on that. That's all inside my spreadsheet. So I don't have that really at my fingertips at my disposal right now. But yeah, hope that answers your questions. Are COVID plays in swing right now? I don't really know what you mean by that. I know they wanted to blame the markets on COVID Friday. I think we just had a little correction. Without sounding too political, I'm not saying that this new variant that we've been hearing about isn't important, but I think there's going to be variants for the rest of time. I don't think COVID's ever going to be eradicated. So yeah, it's like great. There's a new variant. It just happens to come out when they're doing jury selections on one of the biggest child sex scandals in world history with 47 million co-defendants. And if you are a major political figure, you want the news to be everything not talking about Gizelle or whatever her freaking name is. So I think, oh, wow, that's a coincidental timing, but people will call me dumb for saying that. But I don't really care what the market does as far as like a COVID response, if that's what you're asking. We saw COVID tried to hurt the market March 2 years ago? Is it March now or a year ago March? And I think that was 2 years ago. 2 years ago March, and it bounced back. I think people are thinking, most people I think are thinking pretty legitimately about the whole like COVID situation. The fact there's always going to be variants and countries are going to shut down. And the United States, I think it would be hard to shut us down again, but who knows? I've seen crazier shit happen. So I don't tend to worry about things that are outside of my control. Seersucker suit. Hopefully I'm done with weddings. I'm trying to like get rid of any friends. Like I meet somebody and I really, really like them, and then I find out they're single or dating, and I'm like, hey, can you call me back after your wedding? That'd be awesome. I would love to be friends with you after your wedding. What do you suggest for accounts that are smaller, under 10K, regarding position sizing? I never want one position to be 30% or more of my portfolio, but are kind of forced if you get assigned. So there's a couple of things. The poor man's covered call is great. Writing leaps options, I'm a fan of it. I don't personally know any other new ones that I would open. Maybe waste management is on my list of like poor man's covered calls. But you can do 4 or 5 covered call. You can do 4 or 5 leaps options easily with 10K and write calls against them. That is one of the downsides, the major downsides of the wheel strategy is you need a ton of capital. And I used to think that, all right, let's do some spreads, right? Iron condors, things like that. I've been burned more times than I care to share with Iron Condor. I'll probably never do one ever again. And I'm for credit spreads and I'm for debit spreads, more for debit spreads. So if I'm going to be honest with you, honest life, I'm going to say if I was worried about a small portfolio, I would do one of 2 things. I would use the 10 grand and I would do 2 $50 stocks with the wheel. And then I would use all of the premium and put it towards the next one that I wanted to do. Because as we see in my portfolio, I have 11 stocks that I'm doing the wheel with, 10 or 11 stocks. All of them are between $50 and $60 essentially. Like what's the most expensive one? I got Cisco 57, Foot Locker 48, Walgreens 47.50, Aflac 57, Peloton 51. VTI is 253, but that was something that's different. Carnival Cruise Lines $20, SWBI $17. So there's definitely some good stocks. And this is when I first started wheeling. This is what I did. I started with AT&T, and then I used all my premium, and then I did Wells Fargo, then I used all my premium, then I did Aflac. So you can do that if wheeling is your goal and you're not really stoked on buying options right now. But knowing what I know now and seeing how long that road was, and also knowing the education I have now, if I only had 10 grand, like if I was on a reality television show and they were like, you have 10 grand, make money. And it was like a short timeline, I'm probably going to buy some long expiration calls, and then I'm going to try and poor man cover call with that. Hope that answers your question. I'm selling a put for $20 strike price December 15th, and the premium is $315K? No. We missed something there. 2-year return is 44%. 315,000. That doesn't make any sense, bud. Dr. Horton, thank you. Always supporting me with the VTI and the next fund. It's true. Jeremy from not financial education, Jeremy from the Personal Finance Club, he says it best, and it's as simple as this. And then Dave Ramsey comes out and make a stupid post that JJ and I are going to talk about on Wednesday. But if you have 90% of your net worth in the total stock market index fund, you can literally use the other 10% for anything else, and your life will be okay. If you have a foundation of 90% index funds, mine's less. Mine's probably 80, 85, depending on your age. But when you have a strong foundation in index funds, I don't know, you can do whatever the hell you want. Anything you want. Would you bother writing a put on a lower strike on Peloton to lower your basis? Well, I don't own any shares, so I don't need to lower my basis on Peloton, but I'll definitely be rolling to lower the strike if I can. But right now, it's at $12.10, so I have 2 weeks. At $51, Peloton right now is trading, I think, for like 48. Let me see. 46.41. And Peloton's one of those stocks that can do whatever it's going to do. So I don't need to lower my basis because I don't really have one. Oh, my phone's going to ring. But I can hear it. Like interferes. But yeah, if I can lower the strike. But Peloton's one of those stocks where it could jump to 51 and have like a weird day, and my option value will be good, and I'll just close it. What's your prediction on Tesla before December 31st? Would you say it could hit above 14.25? What is the current share price of Tesla? 1,100. Tesla can do whatever. It can do whatever it wants. It will do whatever the masses want it to do. I mean, it's at 1080 right now. If I was a betting man, like you put a gun in my mouth, I don't know if it could hit 14.25 is a lot. But then again, all Elon has to do is come out with a couple tweets. That's why I stay away from it. 14.25 is aggressive. I'll say that. Exactly. Yeah, no, it's I don't know if you pronounce it Jesus or Jesus, but if you weren't here last week, everyone's busting your chops because last week somebody started asking me Tesla. You asked a good Tesla question though, but they triggered me with Tesla. That's why they're all over me for that. No fireworks. He asked a good question about Tesla. He has my opinion. You can ask Tesla questions, just don't debate Tesla with me. Let me save you. Don't write LEAP. Don't write LEAP ever. LEAPS stands for long-term equity anticipation securities. S does not plural. LEAPS. LEAPS does not mean plural leap. LEAPS is a acronym. But when you say, so I'm just going to fix that for you. When you say LEAPS options, does that apply to selling puts or just buying calls? A LEAPS is essentially an option with a really, really far out expiration. That's really all that really means. So you can do it with puts, you can do it with calls. Doesn't really matter that much. I use most of my 10K in my account to do swing trades, which is my bread and butter. All right, so I would love, and we've been talking about this in Discord. I'm definitely going to be getting into swing trading now that I have some more disposable income, and now that my net worth is climbing and I have a couple extra dollars to use. I just have to learn it. I would love like doing some like not day trading, but I would love to do some like 3 to 5 day trades and trying to like. So what I've found out, or what I'm doing in my research with like technical analysis and charting and things like that, is that you have to come up with one specific strategy and stick to it. Like you can't bounce all over like that didn't work, I'll try this one. That didn't work. You have to like do your research and come up with a criteria and a strategy. Oh, excuse me. And a strategy and see if it works. So I've been doing that with paper trading a little bit, looking at like 3 to 5 day trades, not real money, all paper trading. And I would love to start doing that. The reason why I didn't recommend it for small portfolios is 1, it takes a lot of work and a lot of education. And 2, I just can't speak intelligently, but I'm for like swing/momentum trading. I think if you can look at certain indicators and find strategies and do it over a long period of time, I think of swing trading almost like playing poker. Like if you come up with a strategy of things that you're going to call on, things you're going to raise on, and things you're going to fold on, you might have like 1 bad night. You might have 5 bad nights in a row. You might have 10 bad nights in a row. You might have a bad month. But if you come up with a strong strategy and stick to that strategy without emotion, over the long term, you'll probably be good. And I think that's the thing that I'm reading with like swing traders and day traders is like they lose more than they win, but their wins are much bigger than their losses. So like you'll see like, oh, they lose 60% of their trades, but the fine print is like, yeah, but when they lose, they have a stop loss at 10%, but when they win by 40. So I'm not opposed to that. Oh, it's 5. So maybe it is 315,000. Okay. 522 contracts is worth 70K. The premium is 315K. Awesome. So going back up to that, 44% return in 2 years? That's a guaranteed 44% in 2 years, 22% a year. Sounds good to me. I mean, what's the worst case that's gonna happen? It dips down way low. Would you say that strike was at? $20 strike. I don't know what their current share price is. I also don't know why everyone loves SoFi. Like, what do? They're a lending company. They were great for me. They got rid of my student loans, but like, why is everyone so wet about them? 18.13. Oh, so you can get a sign tomorrow on that. They don't pay a dividend, do they? No dividend. dividend. So you want to make it out of the money? Now you're just talking a little bit reckless. A little bit reckless for me. I'm a huge fan of Kenny. I'm a huge fan of MGK. VUG. Hey, welcome. You can now talk in the chat. I'm a big fan of VUG and MGK. But oh man, don't say ARK. That'll trigger me too. ARK ETFs are so 2020. Dr. Horn, that's mean, but it's so true. It's a good burn. And Kenny, if you can't swallow that, that is a good burn. ARK ETFs are so 2020. Speaking of which, somebody in my main channel today wrote on in my community tab, they're like, hey, what happened to that $50 a week challenge? I was like, we voted in May to get rid of that, but thanks so much for stopping back. What did I get then? I had to buy ARKK because everyone was like, oh my God, ARKK. Oh yeah, Aaron does not like index funds. Aaron Azevedo does not like index funds. What do you think of buying leaps for a shorter period of time, but doing leaps instead of short-term calls so that's safer in case you're replacing buying the stock for half the price? Yeah, if that's your goal, you can write call options if you want to try and get it at a cheap price. But I only am going to buy options so that I can write calls against them. So the reason I'm going far out is I want as much time to write as many calls against it to break even on that adjusted premium. That's the only reason I'm really going out far in expiration. And also, right, the longer we go out in expiration, the less we're going to be affected by theta. So there's those factors. But I mean, I'd be a liar if I said that every single one of my quote leaps was more than a year out. That would, that's not true. So I think in strategic positions, especially if you know how to play earnings and things like that, and you really know how to play implied volatility, you can go shorter. I'm not too opposed to that. Disregard the voicemail. Why'd you leave another voicemail? Okay. Okay, so disregard. I'll disregard the second voicemail. Thank you. Is paying premium for Seeking Alpha worth it? Tim, I've never used it, but to be honest, I don't think, I think you can do better. I pay for Stock Rover, so that's what I use. You guys know this. I've brought it up before. And I'm not sponsored by them. So I've never tried the premium versions of Seeking Alpha or anything like that, or like Yahoo Finance or anything like that. But I did trials, and the trial that worked best for me was with Seeking Alpha. Not with Seeking Alpha, was with Stock Rover. They just had so much. And they're a little bit like the Chinese food, like the Cheesecake Factory menu. Like, it's a lot. But I got the one with the research reports. That's the plan that I have with Stock Rover. And it's still like a little bit of like even overload for me. Hun, I don't think Hun is. Have you ever jumped in on a Sunday? What's up, Brian? Hun, how the fuck? Cheers to you, bud. Cheers. I actually like having you in here because you can't super chat me. Ha! Not monetized, but cheers, bud. Great to see you, man. Hope all's well. Hope your Thanksgiving was awesome. Guys, Brian Hun is a YOLO legend. Steven, no credit spreads right now for me, just debit spreads. Hun is in the first time on a Sunday. Let's go. What else we got, guys? What else we got? Hun, what are you winning on this week? Are you still cleaning up with Rivian? Oh, gosh. Brian, you missed my rant last week about how much I love Tesla. Does 25x retire early statement only apply to figuring out how much you need if you're going to retire young? Does it, somebody... To be honest, I consider FI, for me, like 20x. I think you can make the times your yearly expenses whatever you want, depending on how much income you have. Like, If you're asking me, do I think if you invest 25 times your yearly expenses, can you quit and never work again? I'm going to say yes, 100%. Now, could you do that and like go crazy and change your living expenses to not be 25? No. But I mean, I've been tracking my budgets, my net worth, and my expenses now for 5 years. I can tell you almost to the penny how much money I'm going to spend in 2022. So I know exactly what my FI number is. And that's why I consider myself financially independent. I don't just say it because it looks cool. I know that right now I have more than 25 times my yearly expenses invested. So I believe in the 4% rule a lot. And by saying 25% your yearly expenses that you believe, that's true. And I got kids getting out of daycare next year. Let's fucking go. For all of you that don't know what it's like to live in New York, I know it's expensive in other places, but each one of my kids is 15 grand a year. So Avery's going to Universal Pre-K next year. That's going to put 15 grand in my pocket. And then Brody goes the year after that. So in the next 2 years, I'm going to essentially be giving myself a $30,000 raise. So I am very, very financially independent. And you're 38. You're 1 year younger than me. I have 20. I'm probably closer right now to 30. So maybe I'm just talking out of my ass about 25. I don't know how I feel at 25, but at 25, that would be a minor correction in the market. I would say right now I have 30 times my yearly expenses invested, not net worth, invested, right? Because we can't use our house, like we can't get income off of our house, but I have 30 times my annual expenses invested, and my income just keeps going up and up, up and up. And I'm about to release an ebook. I got to pay, Aaron, I got to pay you to edit it. I got coming out with an ebook, finally. That was my COVID project. And because I was like, if I'm going to have COVID and not be able to work, I'm going to make money. So I started writing an ebook, and I wrote enough where I can't like not finish it. I had these high hopes of getting it done by like Black Friday, but then I was like, I'm probably going to post it for like $5. So if you have 25 times your yearly, that also too, but like at 38, your life might change. Like I can't see my living expenses really changing that much. When I travel now, I travel essentially for free because of my business. So everything's like a write-off of the business. So I don't really pay for traveling. Speaking of which, I did book a trip. I'll be in the Nashville, Tennessee area on the 18th of April to the 20th of April. If anybody's in Nashville, I'll be talking about this. I believe I'm going to twist JJ's arm to coming, but flights were really cheap because their marathon is the following weekend. So I think flights to Nashville right now for me were like $74. So going there. Luciano, thanks a lot for your continued support, bud. I appreciate that. Really? You still mess with the spy? Wow. 40% down the house. Yes. I love hearing that. And how many people think you still just like YOLO, hun? Like, you're not YOLOing. You're definitely a high risk investor, but you know what the hell you're doing. So good on you, man. I just hope as you get older, you slow down and come over to the conservative side with me. Not political, conservative investing side. Well, you can come over to the conservative political side if you want, but come over to the conservative investing side as you get a little older there, hon. I don't even spend $15K on my own life every year. Holy cow. 15's low. I think 15 is low. I live fat fire. So like I'm on the higher end of expenses. Like I'm pretty frugal, but there's some things I do not cut corners on. Like I spend easily $1,000 a week on food. And I don't eat out that often. We eat out like twice a week. And it's usually like we like to host happy hour. I host happy every Friday. For those of you in the Discord and my Zoom call know that. So it's like I buy dinner for 10, 12 people every Friday. And then one other time during the week, somebody's busy at work and we have to like get Chipotle or something. But we also, my wife and I like to cook a lot. So food, I spend $12,000 a year on food. I spend $30,000 a year on daycare right now. My property taxes and insurance are $30,000 a year. My mortgage is 40 something thousand dollars a year. So, yikes. My mortgage will be done in 6 years, though. 6 years, I think I have left. Boom, boom. Good, good, good. Naomi, you just found out about the channel today? You mean like this one or my main channel? Do you know I have a main channel? This is my baby channel. It's my cousin. It's my son. We cooked 3-quarter meals and packed a left for lunches. We're a meal prep kind of people. I'm not really a lunch person because I intermittent fast. So my first meal happens at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And generally to break fast, I'm doing like a fig bar and a banana or like a fig bar and an apple. So that's not even really a meal. So if I sit down to eat dinner, it's really only dinner. Like that's really the only meal I eat during the day. I also am a little, I consume a ton of calories in the form of alcohol, but we cook a big dinner every night. And then my wife brings leftovers and my kids eat my food. But my first meal of the day is after I get home from my teaching job. So my first meal of the day is usually like 3:15 in the afternoon. If I'm not hungry, because I don't starve, intermittent fasting is not about starving. But if I'm not hungry, I'll jump right into exercise and eat at 4. But if I have any sort of hunger or rumbling in my tummy, like I said, I'll bang out like maybe if I'm like starving at 4, like I'm getting home and I'm like, wow, I needed to eat today. I'll pop out like a PBJ before I work out, but nothing crazy. Oh, you paid off your house? That is awesome. You gain weight when you fast? That's interesting. That's it. I've never heard that before. I mean, I'm not like skinny twiggy guy, but yeah, when I've been this, actually I can't say that. When I was plant-based, I was the same weight for 3-4 years. I lost 70 pounds when I went plant-based, 60. And then I stayed there. And then when I got off plant-based, I've gained like maybe 20 back. I've been the same weight for a year. Suppers. JJ calls them suppers too. When you and JJ coming to Chicago? I was born in Chicago, but I will tell you this. I don't see myself coming back to Chicago anytime soon. I could see coming to see Q Makes It Happen. He always invites me out, but I don't really like how that city is exactly run, if you know what I mean. Not to mention, with all due respect, I'm from New York, so you can't impress me with pizza or bagels. saying come visit me and have a slice of pizza is like saying to a Hawaiian, come visit me for the waves, brah. No, I'm pretty good with my pizza here in New York. It's dope. Oh, but the crust is so thick. Cool. It's the easiest part of the whole pizza crust. Quit your job in August? Yes. Credit, mostly credit, putting calls. Pays for the Tesla Easy. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, and you're a police officer in Chicago? God bless you. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. That's a very slippery slope for me, especially after a bunch of beers, because my whole family is military and police. Well, for what it's worth, I'm on your side. Good pizza in Maryland that does not exist. Does not exist. When JJ comes, I have pizza in the car for him. The first time he came, I brought him a bunch of stuff. I brought him like this big old chicken parm hero with bacon and ranch. No tomatoes. JJ Buckner hates tomatoes. I texted his wife about that. She was like, don't put tomatoes on it. So I gave him like this big old hero. I had 2 tall boys of natty ice, natty light, and some pizza. It was too late for a bagel. But when you come visit me, I make sure that when you get off the plane, you can come hungry. Come hungry to New York. I would love to have everybody out. I almost tweeted the other day, like, I want to throw a banger for my 100,000 subscribers, but like social media rules state that like you can't tell quote weirdos from the internet where you live. So it's like, how do I have everyone at the house for a party and then not tell anybody where I live? My neighbor's like, hey, why don't you just say it's at your friend's house and it'll just be right across the street? I'm like, they know what my house looks like. I've posted it on the internet. Like, we'll be partying across the street and people will be on the porch like, that's your house there. So it's like, it's hard to like throw a party or be like, hey, because my buddy Chris is like, we'll throw the party at Dubco, fly everybody in, but you just have to get them, they have to get a hotel room. And I'm like, well, how do you like tell your friends like, hey, come for a party. I'm not going to tell you where I live. And then we're going to go to the brewery and then you're on your own. I don't know. And he's like, that's what a wedding is. I was like, facts. Facts. I don't know. I might do like a survey. Be like, if I threw a banger of a weekend, like I threw a party weekend, like you fly in on Friday and then when you get home on Sunday, you don't even know what happened. If I throw that party, would you come to New York? Because I could throw that party. Call it a wedding or something like that. 50% pension. Hopefully in 5 years, your pension will be nothing. You'll learn everything you need to know. I don't want anybody to ever depend on their pension. Okay. Naomi, keep learning. Robin, help her. A lot of us didn't know what calls and puts were. Then we just kept on learning and we didn't get discouraged. What's the best pizza location in New York? We talking New York City? Because if you go to New York City, you just go on Barstool and you can see he rates all of his pizza, but there really isn't a bad one. There really isn't a bad one. It depends on what you like. Like, do you want crispy, thin crust? Do you want thick crust? Do you want Sicilian? Really depends what you want. You want like a lot of stuff on it? Like when JJ came, I was like, dude, you're getting a plain slice and a pepperoni slice. That's it. Like, we're not doing fancy shit. Like, you have to, kind of like a lager. Lager is the hardest beer to make. Plain slice of pizza is the hardest one to make. So by putting everything else on it, you're just hiding the fact you don't know how to make a slice of pizza. My sister's baby shower. Congrats on the baby. December 8th to 11th. Right on. Hun, you are correct. Nah. Hun, we got rid of my governor. I mean, he did it to himself, but at least we got rid of my governor. We at least tried plan B. The second option. And we have weeds legal here too. So New York it's on the up and up. I think New York's doing a little bit better than Chicago right now as far as how far left we could be. We're blue, but we're not so blue that we're purple, if you know what I mean. What town, what? What did I say? Why do you write puts on red days and greens on calls on green days? Is it because premiums or because it increase the odds of expiring? Diego, the reason I write them is because, right, so the value of an option is dictated by the benefits of the buyer. So if you are going to be writing calls, you have to think in terms of the buyer, right? Think in terms of the criminal, right? So the buyer, as the share price goes up, generally, unless we're in an Ivy crush, so let's speak generally. If we're the buyer of an option, as the price goes up and is green, the value of that call goes up and up and up. Great for the buyer. So if we want to write calls, we want to collect the most premium. So as the price goes up and the buyer's saying, hooray, that's when we want to sell our option because we'll be able to sell it at a higher price. On the flip side, if you are buying puts, what do we want as the buyer of a put? We want that price to dive into the basement. So as that price is diving into the basement, the buyer of the put is saying, hooray. So we as the seller of the put want to say, let's jump on it then and sell when the premium is going up because the value, which is essentially the same thing as the premium, is going up as well. That's the reason that I generally say that we write puts on red days, because that's what the buyer of a put wants, and we write calls on green days. Robin, get her in the Discord, brah. Oh yeah, thin crust. You'll find they're all thin crust. That is correct, hon. That is very, very correct. New York is a giant state. Can't characterize New York with just Manhattan. Joe's Pizza in New York City. I'm sure it's awesome. I was going to say that for Kenny. I'm like, if the slice is $1, you did it. You did it. You did it. You did it. Same with Suffolk County. Suffolk County, yes, we are. We're pretty red over here. Suffolk County, we got gun ranges, indoor and outdoor. We got Budweiser, that's red. We just voted a bunch of our district votes were red as well. But I just tend to just do what I'm told. Unless they tell me to get rid of my guns. Then they have to come get them themselves. Hope I'm not drinking. $1 slices, nah. You don't have enough drinks if a $1 slice sucks. Steven, yeah, sure. I'll show them to you right now. Not that many. I've done a couple videos recently about how I think in the let me look at the videos I just released. It might have been just the most recent one. Hold on, let me just see this quick. I'll show you where I like went into this in a little bit more detail. Because I just got rid of Bradfin. Not Bradfin Live, just Bradfin, bro. Just Bradfin, bro. 95.5. Look at the kid. All right, so in this video here, Steven, selling put options, I talked about how I'm getting away from the wheel, right? Oh, hold on, there we go. How I'm getting away from the wheel. Oh, I'm not even, you're not sharing your screen, bro, you fucking dick. Sorry. This one right here, selling put options. Oh, you don't drink? Okay, that's good. That's fine. I'm for that. I wish I wasn't a drinker. My life, I'd be a lot skinnier. But Steven, sorry. So Steven, if you watch this one, I talk of why I got away from the debit spreads a little bit. You asked me for credit spreads or debit spreads? Debit spreads. Okay, yeah, debit spreads. So the only ones I currently have right now are Vuzi, Starbucks, and Tattoo Chef. The nearest expiration is going to be Tattoo Chef, $12.50. I don't know what it's currently trading for. It's currently trading for $16.83, so that is in the money. I'll tell you right now, I do not want these shares at $12.50, so I probably would never exercise that even close. Starbucks, $85. It's currently trading for $110. This one, to be honest, I think this is one of the ones I might take if this is for June. If it continues to climb and it's like in the 125 range, I'll probably not sell to close this, and I'll probably exercise a close expiration, lose a little bit of intrinsic value, and I'll take Starbucks because of the dividend. I'll take it for $8,500 and I'll take 100 shares of it. and then I'll probably just wheel it, to be honest. So that's my goal for Starbucks. Starbucks, I would like it to go up. Now, if it drops down and stays in that $100 range, I'll sell to close it. But if I can get it for $85 and then wheel it, that's fine. I can take that. Vuzi, same thing. I'll be completely honest with you with Vuzi, which is now, the Vuzi's all over the effing place. It's $11 today. I have two calls on this, and like you did ask about debit spreads, and these are obviously just leaps, but I plan on selling calls against them. That's why I'm using these as examples of debit spreads. But I have two of them, as we can see right here. So these I wrote on December 18th. So I'm waiting for long-term capital gains. So I'll probably trim one of these off on the 18th or the 19th, depending on the day and what the premium's doing. And then, to be honest, this is till 2023. So I'm going to hold on to Vuzi for another year and see what happens with that. If it's anything over $20 around this date, 45 days out, I'll probably buy it for $5 and then do the same. I'll probably wheel it. Hope that answers your question. How much cash do you have available in case the market dips? Do you have free cash percentage always in that case? Honestly, if I have about 1 year of living expenses in cash, that's kind of like my go-to. But as I've mentioned, I keep cash that's planned for 5 years or more invested. Less than 5 years, I do not keep invested. And I kind of like keep my cash, and the taxes that I have to pay is like the same thing. So like I have to pay taxes soon. I pay them quarterly, but I'll have to pay them soon at the end of the year. So that's really what my cashes are, because I don't want to lose my taxes. But I keep a fair amount of money in cash, mostly for real estate, not because I want to be able to make a cash deal. So depending on the bank you're using and what you're using for proof of funds, some people won't use retirement as proof of funds or won't use brokerage accounts as proof of funds. So it's just easier just to say, look at this cash that I have liquid. But I'm not, yeah, 1 year. 1 year is where I'm at with cash. I think that's just easier. Let me go use the restroom, guys. I'll be right back. All right, back. Sorry about that. Case of no booze, skinnier and richer. Well, I don't pay for beer, so all my beer is either from the brewery or I bought it for it or it's a gift. But skinnier, probably. Can you explain to us why you like Foozy? No Foozy here, bud. Voozy? Or you have to, it's a long story. Voozy, I just think it's all a value thing. I think the value of their company is worth more than $5 per share. That's why I wrote calls on it. We'll see what happens with Uzi. And what's a good price to actually own the stock? Check out my video most recently on how to evaluate the fair value of a stock. It's a tough one because they're not profitable currently, but if I get calls at $5, that probably means I think $5 is a pretty good price. I guess this is Spider-Man. Are you guys talking about Spider-Man? Oh, cash to buy the dip? If the dip happened, honest life, if the dip happened, I'm going to go into margin. So I think that's, I don't know how much margin I can get on 42K inside Robinhood. I know that in my other portfolios, I can get 35% at really low, but I'd probably use my year of expenses, but it'd have to be a really big dip. I think I talked about margin on the podcast. So like, speaking of the podcast, tomorrow's episode is fucking hilarious. I don't know what we were bombed. I don't know what we were thinking, but it's from like the 6th of October. But yeah, I'd probably use that. I'd probably use my cash and but it'd have to be like, I think margin's like over 30% for me to take margin out, but I don't think we're going to see like a drastic dip. I think it'll just be long red, and I'll just dollar cost average in a bear market. Ground floor. Don't know what you mean by that, Micah. What do you mean? I don't know what ground floor is. So for those of you that were here early, you know that tonight's my anniversary. So I told my wife 9:30, so we got 2 more minutes. So if you have any last minute questions, I would love to take them if I can answer them in 2 minutes or less. But if not, I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my anniversary. Last minute questions? I always thought about doing this. I'm not going to mess with it. That's it, guys. No last minute questions. Thank you so much. Ground floor is like a crowdfunding. I'm for them, but I don't like how much they tie up your money, to be honest. I think if you're going to invest in real estate and you want to be a little more liquid, start with REITs and then build up. But I had Fundrise and I didn't like how much it tied up your money. I know there's other ones like Acre Trader and there's other ones. I guess Ground Floor is one of those. But I think if you're going to invest in real estate, just go out and do it. Or worst case, do REITs. I'm not a huge fan of the crowdfunding ones, to be honest. I think Vuzix definitely can have their place in the metaverse. Robin, what did you get her? My wife and I have a very strict no gift policy. We give each other the gift of love. So no cards, no flowers, just love. That's what we do on birthdays, Valentine's Day, Christmas. I never, ever have to worry about getting my wife anything for one specific day or occasion. I give her love, and if she needs something or if I see something that would benefit her life, I get it for her. But our anniversary today is just love. That's it. That's all I got her. And that's all she got me, a ton of love. She got me 2 kids. She got me an awesome house. She lets me be an asshole. She lets me drink as much beer as I want and start stupid online businesses. She supports me. That's what she gets me, and I just try and give her the same. Thank you, Dr. Horton. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Guys, please, if you have questions, we were getting pretty lit on the voicemail questions, but I haven't got a voicemail. I left one, but please, guys, if you have a question, I will check you guys out later. Check out the main channel if you found this live stream and you don't have a main channel. What's up with that $100,000 subs, bro? 100,000 subscribers. Catch you guys later.